call it 219, and we're going to talk about this thing, this little tactical thing everybody's doing is putting doodads on their gun, and one of those doodads is a light. Now, this is going to cut out me bumbling and fumbling around looking for a flashlight and grabbing my gun. All I have to do now is grab my gun. I have a different pistol light on a different gun, and I'm not satisfied with that. So I went off and bought this one. It's about $125. Might be a little bit expensive for some people, but it's in that budget range of what Streamlight offers. The TLR-7A Flex has some pros and some cons. And one of the cons I'm going to mention before we get into the specs of this thing is when I pulled out their little flyer they had in here. I don't know if you want to stop the video right now and pause it and take a look. This is made for certain types of guns. And as you can see on there, there's not a ton of budgety budge guns on there. So be aware of that it might not fit those budget guns. So that's just a little tidbit of information. Now the light itself is about 500 lumens. They say it can reach about 140, 150 feet from my deck to the end of my driveway. That's pretty close, and it illuminates very well down the driveway. So I'll buy into that. I think it has about 1.5 hours of runtime on it. And then it takes a 123A battery, which is very common. You can find those, which is a plus. So you can throw that in the pro category. Now, another con about this is the mounting system. This is on a CZ P10C. And like I mentioned with that little piece of paper, this takes the 1913-1 insert. These are the inserts right here. Underneath where it connects to the rail, right in between there, this piece right here, this side piece and this side piece, is this little rail, and you got to insert that to what fits your firearm. So that's a little bit of a con, because if you don't have this kind of technology on your firearm, or your rail system's not as great as some of these guns that are on their list, or the upper echelon of firearms, then this is probably not going to work for you. So that's one of the cons. Another con that I'll throw in here real quick is the lumen aspect of the product. A lot of people don't think 500 lumens is good enough. They want to fry people's eyes out and then save a round. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's adequate. Would I like it to be about 650, 700? Yeah, that'll work. But I don't need something overly dramatic. I mean, shine this thing in your face and tell me if that's going to deter you or make you stop and think. Okay? So that's a toss-up. That's between you and what you prefer as, lumen percentage you want, whether it be 500 or higher. I think if you go lower than that, you're pretty much selling yourself short. So I would stay in that 5 or above kind of area with the lumens. Another con I've noticed, not only myself but watching other videos, is the mounting system itself. So right here you have a little screw that you could use a coin or, of course, a screwdriver, but it does have a screw in there. Some videos that I've watched, I've watched them shoot whatever gun with this light on, and that screw's backed out and the light has fell off. So keep that in mind. If you're going to put this on for a primary carry weapon and you're not going to switch and mess around with your guns too much, because I know a lot of people out there do that, but if you're not, I would throw a little bit of Loctite on that screw and then screw it back in there. It'll be hard to get off if you ever do want to change it, but in the end, it's going to save you a lot of hassle because it's not going to back out on you. Because I have seen that happen in some videos that I've watched. So that's a little bit of a con. Usually those, lights that are really expensive have like a folding little tab, and it folds over and it, pinches that rail and stays pretty good and intact. So that's something to look out for in that preference. Now, a pro about this, that I think it's a pro, is you can change this backing. Here, the standard issued paddles that they have on there works for me. But if you have short fingers, they do give you the extender in the package. I believe you just use that Allen wrench to take it off, and bada bing, bada boom, you're in business. But this one works for me. And another pro for it is I can work it with my trigger finger and, of course, my offhand. That works well. And because of that, pushing forward on it, some other lights that I've seen, it has a paddle, so you're kind of pushing the firearm off target a little bit, just a little bit. This one I can keep forward and keep my gun right there and just push that little tab, and we're going forward instead of side to side. So movement for this kind of setup is key. I will remind you that you could put this on an AR or some kind of rifle, but I don't recommend it. I think this is more set up for a pistol, not so much a rifle. But, I mean, whatever you can spend to put a light on your rifle is going to be beneficial. I have one on mine, so I highly recommend that you find some sort of light to put on your rifle. So, with all that being said, there are some pros and cons to this setup. Now, is this a setup for you? I don't know. You'll have to research it like I did while I was at the shop, looking around and wasting time to make my decision, and watching a couple other videos and reviews on their website about this specific setup before I bought it. I will say that it looks better than most lights that I've seen on people's guns, where the light will stick out way here, and it just, to me, that looks kind of goofy. I like this one because it's slick, it's sleek, and it's pretty in line with the muzzle, so it's not all gaudy and awkward looking. So that's another thing for me, is the looks that it makes when it sits on your firearm. I will throw in this little tidbit. When you start messing around putting lights and lasers on your firearm, you're probably going to have to change out your rig, your holster. Probably going to have somebody that can either make this for you, or if a company makes a type of holster that will house your light, whichever light that you have. So I want to put that in the back of your mind too, if you go to putting a pistol light, regardless of what light you put on there, that you might have to change up your rig. There are some universal holsters out there that will fit your firearm with a light on it or laser, but you'll have to seek those out and maybe pay a little bit more for that holster. So keep that in mind when you're doing this type of stuff. I know a couple of guys. One dude owns his own company, so I'll probably flip him a couple of bucks like I always do to buy one of his holsters, and then he'll send it to me, and then I can carry this with no problem. But for the time being, I'm going to have to wait for that holster to come in and carry a different firearm. So keep that in mind when you're doing all the tactical stuff to your guns, whether it be suppressor height sights, threaded barrels, lights or lasers, things of that nature. RMRs or whatever, pistol red dots. So keep that in mind when you start switching around guns and putting your little knickknacks on there. But for now, I think this works well. I think it works well for the setup I need it. And I think the quality of it is a lot better than what I've bought in the past. So at this point, I kind of recommend it. We'll see a month or two down the road. I will say I've seen these guys throw this thing in water, in a cup of water, and let it sit there for a minute. Unfortunately, I'm not rich, so I'm not going to be doing that test. I might take it out and shoot it once in a while in the rain and see how it reacts, but I don't have the extra money to throw this thing in a cup of water, and if it does malfunction, to buy a new one. So I will caution you on that, and caution you on what people tell you on the internet. I'm not going to do that. So there's a little tidbit for the end of the video. For all that jazz, I'd like to thank my old and my new subscribers that just showed up, and just the people that zipped through. I greatly appreciate it. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe my videos. Hit that bell for more notifications if you want to. And don't forget to share your favorite gun content all over the internet. And like always, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.